Hey, what is up, mortals? It is I, KiChanVA, here with a new video for you today. Welcome to part 1 of What If Kaminari Got OFA. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin.
Listen up. No one move or this kid gets a one-way trip to St. Peter.
Screams rang out as a giant, questionably shaped man grabbed a young girl to take hostage. What had started as a simple robbery now escalated into a kidnapping. And worst of all, no heroes were on the scene, except for one.
Dang, I'm really pathetic, aren't I?
The man known as Toshinori Yagi, aka the #1 hero All Might, could only watch helplessly from the sidelines, his limit already reached for the day. If he hadn't wasted so much time on petty robberies that other heroes were around for, then he would have had more time to save this young girl from this phallic-bodied man to get away with this hostage, all because of his own weakness.
Hey, little man!
A voice cried out, catching the villain's attention. All Might turned to the source of the voice too, and saw a young man, probably around 14 or 15 years old, with hair that would be identical to his own if it wasn't for a black streak in it.
What the hell do you want? Can't you see that this is a hostage situation?
The villain demanded, though he seemed irate at the boy's comment, and he was definitely annoyed by the young girl's crying.
Yeah, no duh. I wanted to offer myself in her place. Really? You just offer yourself up like that in exchange for this girl? Yeah. I can't just let a cute girl be held hostage like that. Plus, her crying is really annoying, if I'm being honest,
the boy said, hanging his head slightly as he finished his sentence. The crowd went silent as they heard his real reason for wanting to help the girl. Even All Might and the hostage in question were stunned.
You know, you're right. This brat is so loud.
Willie Man started covering his ears with his hands as he spoke, lifting the girl into the air as a result.
Screw it. Just come here already, kid, and don't try anything.
Kaminari nodded and slowly made his way to the man, letting himself be grabbed and glancing to his side to see that the girl had been let go. Then, when the villain turned back to the crowd, Kaminari smiled.
All right, I've still got a hostage. Now listen up. Just give me what I want and the boy gets let go. Or I swear that the name Habit Head. Yeah!
The now named Habit something or other screeched as he got hit with somewhere around 1,000,000 volts, knocking him out cold. All eyes were on the boy that had caused the discharge, who slowly turned around and he gave them a thumbs up, while looking like a, for lack of a better word, derp.
That boy. He easily turns such a tense situation to his advantage,
All Might muttered.
I mean, it looks like using his quirk leaves him completely out of it, but still. If he learned how to avoid that drawback, he would make a great hero, and maybe a great ninth user.
That evening, as Kaminari made his way into his grandparents' house, he couldn't help but feel a bit proud of himself. It wasn't every day that you take out a villain, and with such a great plan to boot. Saying that the girl crying was getting on his nerves to trick the villain into swapping them out, well, no one was going to call him stupid anymore. Yes, Denki Kaminari was completely on cloud 9.
Get in here already, you little brat.
And of course, his grandmother had to ruin it. Kaminari mentally cursed that old hag.
What do you need, Grams? I just got here.
Kaminari groaned.
Oi, be more respectful to your grandmother. She's been patiently waiting for you for nearly an hour.
His grandfather muttered out from their room in the back of the house. Kaminari began sweating as he made his way back to his grandparents' room. It was one thing to annoy Grandma Tatsumaki. That was just their relationship ever since his childhood. But Grandpa Saitama was not someone he wanted to get on the bad side of. His hero name was Flippin' One Punch Man, a name he got due to his tendency to beat durability and strength quirk users in just one blow. And he hadn't really gotten weaker in his old age. As he arrived at their door, he knocked twice before speaking to them.
Grandmama? Grandpapa? May I come in?
He asked shakily.
Trying to get off light, are you?
His grandmother sneered.
Well, come on in already, brat.
Well, here goes nothing, he muttered. Opening the door, Kaminari timidly walked into the room. There, sitting in the center of a mat placed right in front of a very small table, were his grandparents, 2 wrinkly old people that could beat him to kingdom come with their godlike quirks. And, as he feared, his grandmother didn't sound very happy.
So, what took you so long? You're 45 minutes late.
See, there was a villain attack. A girl was being used as a hostage, and I heroically offered to swap places with her under the guise of getting her to stop crying. Because she was really loud, mind you, and then used the opportunity to shock the villain into unconsciousness. But I overloaded my brain and went into that brain-dead state, and I had to wait a while before I went back to normal.
Kaminari rubbed his head as his grandparents just looked at him in shock, as if contemplating whether or not to believe him. Finally, his grandfather sighed.
You could have just called us, you know. Your grandmother was worried sick about you and kept lifting everything in the house until your parents calmed her down.
Wait, seriously? Denki looked upset.
Gee, I'm sorry, Grams. I didn't mean to worry you like that.
In contrast to Saitama's description of her from earlier in the day, the old woman beside him now looked like she was going to start hitting someone.
I did not start levitating the whole darn house because I was worried. I did it because I was annoyed at the idea of filling a missing persons report.
In addition to not realizing that she somewhat contradicted herself, Tatsumaki also failed to realize that she was lifting the table she was sitting at in her anger, much to Denki's amusement.
Right. Sorry for troubling you, Grandma.
He bowed quickly, almost face-planting to the floor as he tried to calm her down.
Just don't be late next time.
Though she still sounded annoyed, the table slowly fell back down to the ground, indicating that she was placated.
Right, of course.
Kaminari got back up and walked out silently, thanking whatever god was watching over him that his grandmother didn't beat him again. Lord knows she could be quite mean when she was angry. The next day, Denki was out and about at a nearby mall. Thankfully, he wasn't near the scene of his little heroic escapade, as his entire family made sure he knew that he was forbidden from doing anything heroic until he went to the hero school. He certainly didn't want to think of what they would do to him if they even thought he was in danger while outside. Now, had he been more attentive, he would have noticed that he was, for lack of a better word, being stalked by the #1 hero.
All right, now, when's the best time to approach him?
All Might asked to no one in particular while observing his target from afar. He'd been observing the yellow-haired boy ever since the little incident yesterday with the villain. The man known as Tashinori Yagi had been impressed by the ingenuity of the young boy and had been hoping to give him a certain proposition. The problem was that he didn't have the slightest clue who the boy was, and he couldn't exactly ask. What would he even say if they met like this?
Oh, hi. I'm All Might in my true form. I want to offer you my power.
Wait a second. He still had a few minutes left on his buff form. He could just ask him during those remaining few minutes and explain the situation when he ran out of time.
I'm not going to get weaker. My mind is shutting down in my old age.
All Might mentally berated himself for his lack of foresight. This whole awkward observing could have been avoided if he just privately met the kid as All Might. Now he just needed to wait until the kid was alone. This video is sponsored by Adobe. Adobe is redefining the digital experience through game-changing innovations that shape the next generation of storytelling. Adobe makes it easy to create, edit, and share digital documents securely, allowing you to collaborate and communicate across devices. Adobe Photoshop is your go-to application for faster graphics, editing, and digital art as a whole. At We the Celestials, all our thumbnails across every channel are created with Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Premiere Pro is a timeline-based and non-linear video editing software application that is versatile and easy for beginning and master editors. Finally, Adobe After Effects is the industry-standard tool for digital visual effects and compositing applications used in post-production. Many of our voice actors, audio editors, and video editors use Premiere Pro and After Effects to produce these high-quality videos. Click the link in the description to start creating now, and thank you for Adobe for sponsoring this video. Kaminari began humming as he made his way back home, the sun slowly setting in front of him. But just as he was making his way to his neighborhood, he was interrupted by a certain celebrity.
Young man, May I have a moment of your time?
A booming voice called out from behind him, prompting Denki to turn around and appropriately drop his jaw as he saw Japan's #1 hero standing behind him.
What? All Might?
He squeaked out, unable to hide the small smile on his face. The man held his hand to his head as he responded,
Indeed, it is I, All Might, and I've come to congratulate you personally, young man. You see, I was watching you yesterday when you faced off against that unfortunately shaped villain. And just as I was about to step in and handle the situation, you were able to take out the villain in one swift sneak attack, even if it left you in an also unfortunate state afterwards.
Well, that's the drawback with my quirk,
Kaminari said sheepishly.
Not much I can really do about that. And as much as I want to change it. But I'm just being negative. Thank you for your kind words, Mr. All Might.
The boy bowed as he thanked the hero, much to All Might's amusement.
Ha 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 ha! Please, there's no need to apologize for shortcomings at such a young age. I'll remember yesterday as the day I found my successor, more so than the day a boy made a fool of himself after beating a villain.
Denki frowned.
You just admitted that you'll remember what happened afterward.
Suddenly he paused. All Might's words had just sunk in, and Denki couldn't help but widen his eyes as he asked,
Wait, hold on. What did you mean just now by successor?
All Might frowned slightly as steam began coming off of him, startling the young boy.
I think you'll understand if you just watch what happens.
All Might said ominously as the steam encompassed him.
The heck?
Denki took a step back in slight fear. When the steam dissipated, All Might was replaced by a skinny, frail-looking man that looked like he was on the verge of death. Needless to say, Denki had a few questions about the situation.
What the hell just happened?
All Might sighed.
Look, I can explain everything, all right?
He said before pulling up his shirt, revealing a grotesque wound around the stomach area.
I look like this because of a foe from 5 years ago. Nearly died fighting him, but in the end, I survived at the cost of my stomach. Of course you haven't heard about it because this is a huge secret, even in the hero community. But because of this, I can't actually stay in my heroic form for more than a few hours a day. I used the last of my time limit introducing myself just now.
The hero lowered his shirt and looked at Kaminari in the eyes.
This is what I meant by successor. I literally cannot be a hero all the time anymore. My time's running out, and I want to make sure there's a new symbol of peace when I have to retire. Either from heroics or from life.
Dear God.
Kaminari began waving his hands as he realized what All Might was saying to him.
Wait, you're saying you want to train me to replace you?
Pretty much, yes. I don't have a lot of options here, young. Both All Might and Kaminari internally cringed as they realized that they weren't formally introduced.
It's, Kaminari. Denki Kaminari.
Toshinori Yagi. But I'd ask that you only call me that in private.
Think I'll just stick to All Might.
That works too.
The two stood in silence for a bit, letting the shared discomfort grow before All Might spoke back up.
So, young Kaminari, back to my question. Will you accept my power and take up the mantle of the symbol of peace?
That's a lot to learn in just 3 minutes, you know.
In truth, he was freaking out on the inside. He literally had no idea what to say here. A part of him genuinely believed that he was either being screwed with or that he was asleep. Heck, he wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing was someone's quirk.
But on the other hand, if this is real, then All Might is dying, and he wants me to be the next him. I'll do it.
All Might's eyes widened.
Come again?
Denki looked at the man, and for the first time in a long time, his eyes held a fiery determination that would freak out anyone who knew the normally carefree boy.
I said I'll do it. I said I'll do it. I'll become your successor, All Might,
he declared, his voice surprisingly solemn. 3 days later, Denki and Toshinori met at a nearby beach at sunrise, when virtually no other people were present. The reason for this was simple. They needed a place for Kaminari to train both his body and his quirk, while also being able to do some community service. All Might was quite adamant about the community service.
So, I kinda glossed over it before, but how does this whole inheritable power thing work?
Kaminari asked as he recalled All Might's explanation after he'd agreed to become his successor. Toshinori smiled as he explained.
Well, basically, the short version of it is that there was this guy back when quirks first became an issue. His name was All for One, named after his quirk, which allowed him to steal and give quirks at his discretion. But he also had a quirkless brother that opposed him. Of course, with the power to take any power, someone powerless like the brother couldn't do much. So to taunt him, All for One gave him power to transfer his power. For it turned out that the brother did have a quirk, one that let him stockpile his power. The skinny man smiled as he held out his hand, almost as if he was holding something precious. With the power to stockpile power, and the power to transfer power, the quirk to counter All for One was born. We call it One for All.
Holy crap! That was way cooler than I was expecting.
Denki muttered with stars in his eyes. Yagi nodded.
Indeed, it was a great honor to receive this power, but it comes at a cost. Since the quirk itself becomes stronger the more it's passed on, so do the requirements for using it. With the power you'll be getting, you'll need to be in top shape if you want to make sure you don't explode when you use it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Denki paused, understanding dawning on him.
Did you just say I could explode?
All Might began sweating.
Well, it's not a guarantee, but it could definitely happen if you aren't prepared.
Dear God.
Kaminari's expression suddenly got a lot angrier as he began shouting.
And you were just going to gloss over that?
No, I just...
All Might took a few steps back, narrowly dodging a lightning bolt that Kaminari began emitting in his rage.
Young Kaminari, please calm down.
You negligent, abhorrent little codpiece. I oughta...
Oh, crap.
All Might jumped back as the lightning began surging, turning the nearby sand into glass. The voltage kept increasing with Kaminari's rage, culminating in a blinding yellow light that Toshinori had to cover his eyes at or risk blinding himself. Then it stopped, just as quickly as it began.
Young Kaminari?
Toshinori asked as he slowly opened his eyes again, now that the lightning had subsided. Have you calmed down? It seemed that Kaminari had indeed calmed down, maybe a little too much. If his current expression and pose weren't anything to go by, All Might sighed as he looked at his new disciple in something akin to disappointment.
This is going to be a long year, isn't it?
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our patrons. BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Meals, Adam Zagil, Zill, ZaveBeat03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I'd also like to thank all of our YouTube members. Toya Costa, Rob the King, Sith Lord 906, EF2364, and Knuckles, Rimuru Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Demonized Fox. Thirdly, if you're in for the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake animes with a twist. Check them out if you're interested. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation for you to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 plus to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for new members to join us. Well, that's it for us for today's video. I'm KiChanVA. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.